everyone, it's Dianne at Minerva. I hope you're all having a fabulous week. And today I'd like to share with you a make for this beautiful tiered dress. It's Simplicity 9265, and what we're going to be making today is version B, the cover version right here. And what we're going to be using is this beautiful, bold Minerva exclusive range viscose chalet, and this particular design is called Beetle Jewel. As you can see, it has a really striking pattern all over it and lots of rich colours. It's going to make a fabulous dress. And I think this will work across the seasons also, being a long-sleeved long dress. Now, should you wish to sew along with me today, everything will be tagged below so you'll have everything you need. So first of all, wash and prepare your fabric as you would normally to save on any shrinkage later on. Then take a tape measure, locate your sizing on the back, and when you're sure of a perfect fit, we're ready to go and cut our pattern pieces together. So let's go and do that now. So here are our pattern pieces. This is your back bodice. You're going to cut two pieces. This is the centre back, this is a straight grain. Mark your circles and your notches. This is the bodice front. This time you're going to cut one piece on the fold. Here is the fold. Mark your darts, your notches and your circles. Here is the front facing. You're going to place this piece on the fold. The fold is here. Cut one piece on the fold and one piece in interfacing. Mark your notches. Here is the collar. You have the fold line here. We're going to cut two of fabric and two of interfacing. Make a note of your notches. And here we have the back facing. This is the centre back. You're going to cut two of fabric and two of interfacing. Here we have our lower sleeve for B. You're going to cut two pieces. This is a straight grain. Note your notches. And here the marking where it says gather. Here we have the sleeve for B and C. You're going to cut two pieces. This is a straight grain. Mark your notches and these circles. And here we have the pockets for A, B and C. This time you're going to cut four. This is a straight grain. And note these circles here and the notches. Here we have the skirt front and back for A, B and C. You're going to cut two on the fold. Here is your fold. This is your waistline. We have a gathering line here and also a fold line. Note your circles and your notches. Here we have the lower skirt front and back for A and B. This time you're going to cut three pieces on the fold. Again, here is your fold line. Note your markings and your notches. So now we're ready to begin making our dress. So first of all, you want to wind half of your thread onto your machine spool, and when you've done that, check your machine needle is sharp. Now I'm using a universal size 70 today. You may wish to test this on a piece of scrap fabric before you begin. When you've done that, we're going to take our front pieces and we're going to stay stitch along the neck edge here, 1.3 centimetres away from the raw edge. Then when you've done that, we're going to create our darts. So let's do that first of all. Now for your darts, you're working from the notches here at the side to your marking here for the bust point. Now I've put a pin here so that you can see. What you're going to do is you're going to pinch it together on the wrong side, bringing these two markings here, or notches if you've made a notch as I have, together, and we're working towards this point. Now it wants to be a gradual V. We don't want it to be too sudden, otherwise you would tend to get a bubble on the other side here. Now let your ends run free like this, because we're going to knot it and push that knot down towards the point of your dart. Now press that dart downwards and repeat on the other side. Now you're going to stay stitch around your back neck edge in the same way that you did your fronts. Now at this point you're going to pin your back pieces to your front piece at the shoulders here like this, matching your notches. Now I've already overlocked the edges here, ready to press out once that seam's in place. You may wish to do the same. And now we're going to stitch those seams in place with a 1.5 centimetre seam allowance. Now you're going to apply interfacing to the back pieces of your collar. Then you're going to fold them in half lengthways and stitch either end and trim. Now turn your collar through and baste the raw edges together at this side. So now you're going to pin on your collar, lining up the markings. So you have your circle here at either side. This is the front, so this point of the collar is lined up with that. And then you have your circle here, which is lined up with the shoulder seam. And then the back one comes to here, look. And this is your centre back seam. Now stitch that seam in place. At this point you're going to change to your zipper foot. Now I'm using an invisible zipper foot. Please consult your machine, your zipper foot may be different, but I do recommend getting one of these because the teeth just sit here in this little channel and it's really useful. When you've done that, you want to have your zip facing downwards. So here is the pulley here, like this. And we're going to make sure that we're stitching directly behind the teeth as we sew down our zipper, and it just lines up here with the top of the collar. Now you're going to sew up the other side, so I'm coming from the bottom and I prefer to pin it all the way up first to make sure that I know it's not pulling out of place, and I just take those out as I go. Now just pop the bottom of your zip out of the way to one side and stitch down the remainder of that back seam. Now pin your dress at the side seams, so joining front to back, right sides facing, and stitch this seam in place with a 1.5 centimetre seam allowance. Now we're going to apply interfacing to our front facing pieces and our back facing pieces, and we're going to join these at the shoulder point. So here is your shoulders here where the notches are. So if you lay it out first of all like this, then you can flip it over, pin it in place, and we're going to stitch that seam on either shoulder. And we're going to stitch that seam on both shoulders. When you've done that, we're going to edge finish our outer edge. So this is your long unnotched edge here. Now you can either turn that under by 6mm or you can overlock it. I'm going to overlock mine. So stitch this seam here at the shoulders first of all. Now pin your neck facing around the neckline of your dress, lining up your shoulder points, your notches, your centre front V here, and I've put a pin here and one at the bottom to hold it all in place. Now we're going to stitch that facing in place. Now we're going to understitch as far as we can around the neckline. So your seam, and I would trim a little of the excess away also. Your seam wants to be going towards your facing. So here is my dress and here is my facing that's going to be on the inside. The seams are pressed this way, so you do that with your fingers as you stitch along, and we're doing it a few millimeters away from this seam here. This is just to stop your facing from rolling outwards and to keep it all lying flat. Stitch your facing to your zipper down either side and trim away that corner. Now we're going to work on our sleeves. So first of all, do a line of ease stitching around the top cap of your sleeve. And when you've done that, we're going to join the underarm seam. So bring your notches together and stitch this with a 1.5 centimetre seam allowance. Now we're going to join the short edges of our lower sleeve. You can overlock that edge off now. And then the top edge, this notched edge, we're going to do a line of gathering stitches around this one. Now you may prefer to do 2 rows of gathering stitches because it makes it easier to gather. That's entirely up to you. Have it on a long straight stitch. Now matching your underarm seam and your seam at the bottom here, and also your notch at this side, so this is the centre halfway point, you're going to pin your lower sleeve to your upper sleeve, pulling on those gathering stitches and evening out those gathers. When you've done this, we're going to stitch this in place. Now using your elastic guide, you're going to cut 2 pieces of elastic for the cuffs, and the elastic will be tagged in with the products. Now at the bottom of your sleeve, press under 2 centimetres. Now you can either press in a further 6mm to hide that seam, or you can do as I've done and I've overlocked around the bottom. We're now going to turn up that hem, making sure that you leave an opening at either side here of this seam to pull your elastic through. Now pull your elastic through using either a safety pin or a bodkin, but you do need to make sure that you secure the other end with a safety pin so it doesn't pull through while you're easing it through the gap. Now when you've done that, release the other safety pin and you join these 2 ends together before closing up your hole. Now turn your sleeves the right way around like this, and you have your garment the wrong way around. Now we're going to insert our sleeve into the armhole. So push it through, and then you're going to line up the underarm seams here and pin that in place. Match your notches, so you should have 1 notch here. If you've got 2, you've got the wrong sleeve, so you need to pick up the other one. So line up that point, and then you've got 2 notches at the back here, 2 notches on your sleeve. Then line up with the shoulder point here with your central shoulder notch, where you may have a choke marking. And when you've done that, you can pull on your ease stitching to finish connecting your sleeve the rest of the way. So you're pulling it just enough. We don't want any definite bumps or creases though, so when we're stitching that, we'll be manipulating it with our fingers as we go. When you've done that, we're going to stitch the sleeve in position. So this is your skirt panel. So we have the skirt panels front and back, and we have our pocket pieces to go on. So we need to line up this notch here with the notch on the pocket, and we're going to pin that in place. And we're going to do this on both sides of the front and both sides of the back, with right sides facing like this. When you've done that, we're going to stitch from here down to here. So we've got our circles, look, you might not be able to see that because it's quite faint chalk. So we're going to sew in the seam line down here on each pocket piece. Now stitch it in place where marked on your skirt. Now we're going to understitch your pockets, so press your seam towards your pocket piece and a couple of millimetres away from this seam, you're going to stitch it all the way up on each pocket. Now we're going to attach our pockets, so lay your front piece of your skirt on top of your back piece of your skirt with right sides facing and your pockets facing outwards like this. Now we're going to stitch from the top down to here. We're going to back tag to reinforce at this point. Skip over this part because this is your pocket opening. Then again we're going to back tag and reinforce here and stitch down to the bottom of the skirt. When you've done that, we can go back and stitch around the pocket. You can do this at this point if you wish. Go around it, back tag and continue all the way down to the bottom. It's up to you which way around you do that. And then when you've done that, we're going to edge finish around the pocket, either zigzag or overlock. press back the top of your skirt panels to the fold line like this. Now you can turn under the bottom also like this and press that in place, but I've chosen to overlock the bottom of it here. When you've done that, on the gathering line you're going to stitch a long line of gathering stitches through all thicknesses. Now pin your skirt panel to your front dress. Now what I've done here is, if you pull the gathering stitches, I'm doing the front first and then I'm going to do the back, and I've pinned it on so you've got the fold on top like this. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to stitch the front now before I gather up the back, just because I feel there's a lot of weight there and I don't want it pulling out my gathers that I've evened up along the front, so you may wish to do the same. Now as I'm stitching it, I'm trying to make sure that I stay in this gathering stitch line and also that I keep it even underneath. Now pin all 3 lower skirt panels together and stitch the side seams of each one. Now we're turning under and pressing the top of our bottom lower skirt panels, and again we're doing it on the fold line, and then we're stitching a line of gathering stitching on the gathering line. So I've done mine in sections, so 1 line of gathering stitches on each panel. I just find it's easier to gather that way. Now stitch your bottom panel to your dress in the same way that you did the top one. Now you're going to hem your dress. Now I'm doing a double fold at the bottom, but you can overlock it and do a single fold if you wish. It's advisable to try it on before you do this and check that the length is just right for you. So here is the finished dress. As you can see, it's quite maxi length, so it is best to try it on before you finish the hem. Beautiful sleeves details, and I love all the ruffles. Well, I hope you've enjoyed sewing along with me today. This has been a really fun make, and I love all the details, the ruffles and the ruffle sleeves as well. Have you made this pattern before? Please let us know in the comments below, along with any photographs. We always love to see what you've been making. And remember to have a look at the Minerva Craft Club to get 10% off all your orders for a whole year, and also create a free account with us to join in with our wonderful worldwide sewing community. If you like what I'm wearing today, this is a simplicity dress also, and this is 8872, and you can make it with or without the trim. I will link these products below in case you're interested in making this. This is another viscose chalet fabric, another exclusive, and it's houndstooth confetti, this one. Now, should you wish to make this one again, I think you could go for a poplin or a cotton lawn. Maybe try it without the sleeves next time. Wonderful for your summer holidays. Well, that's all from me for today, but I hope to be back soon with another sew along for you. Thank you so much for watching. Bye for now.